All right. So let me share this out real quick. I wanted to go over the pictures that were released about The Legend of Zelda today and the reactions so far because I found it to be unfortunately, a very interesting one. Um, this the reactionary scene to media to me is getting very, very, very boring, and it's already always kind of been that way. But I think a lot of people didn't realize it until recently. Like the mask is kind of fading on a lot of people who react to these things. Give me just a second. All right. So here's what we got today. This was what was released. These pictures, these images here. There's Link. Looks great. Looks cool. Looks just like the character. Zelda looks great. Looks just like the character. This is the image that kind of sparked talking points. And this is released by Geeks and Gamers. And you get stuff like this. Like, why does she have weapons but Link doesn't have a bad feeling? Well, Link in the game, if you play the games, Link usually doesn't have a weapon until Zelda goes missing. Now, to be fair, Zelda usually doesn't have a weapon either. I think she uses like what is it, the light bow or bow of light occasionally sometimes. But then again, we'll see what happens here. This guy says looks feminist, of course. Uh, you're just going to get this kind of stuff, and this is going to keep growing. And I made this post. This is the defining moment for culture warrior types. Will Zelda be a girl boss? Depends on the writing. However, Legend of Zelda is based on a world created by goddesses, and Zelda possesses the Triforce of Wisdom. She is also frequently the catalyst for the stories as both a damsel in distress and as a powerful force of change and stability at the same time. Link, story-wise, is often shown as almost secondary despite being the player's character. He is a defender and avenger of Zelda, the courage to rescue wisdom from foreign power. There's a wonderful balance here, and it's why the story is so well received. Wisdom as a female originates for us in the biblical Proverbs, the Greek Athena, and later the Gnostic Sophia. And much of Legend of Zelda's religion mimics both Christian and European pagan ideas, both of which feature a prominent place for female power. Marian Catholicism and the Celtic goddess Trinity, which is undoubtedly where Legend of Zelda's ideas of the triune goddesses came from. Meaning, unless outright modernized in a political way, which is always possible, Zelda is not a girl boss, but a religious archetypal figure. She is in power, Link's equal, though they possess different roles. Wisdom leads and builds, while courage enforces, retrieves, and protects. So here's the thing. The main thing that set people off is like Link here appears more passive, whereas she looks more, well, not aggressive, and I wouldn't even say dominant. Just she looks more in charge, I guess. But if you play the Zelda games, which is really funny because this past year I started playing them with my daughter for the first time, and what's funny is you don't pick up on them unless you like kind of play them back to back to back to back, and you kind of start seeing a pattern for a lot of them, and that pattern is Link doesn't really do much until Zelda is kidnapped. Now that seems like an obvious thing to say. What's up, Baki? But it's an important part of his character, and I've in these comments here, and I've described Link as kind of like a guard dog. He's pretty chill. He's content. He kind of just likes doing what he does, usually sleeping. A lot of the Zelda game starts with like Link sleeping, and and there's symbology there until stuff happens, and then he gets up and he's vigilant. He's ready to go. And that's not passive really. That's, like I said, he's content, or he knows his place, which is fine. And Zelda is ruling usually, unless it's like Wind Waker or something like that, where she has to be awoken to who she is, which that's a Gnostic idea as well, which is fun. Let me pull this up. This fella here says, huge Zelda fan. They look great, but did they have to include an image of Link being subordinated by Zelda? I think he probably meant subordinate to Zelda, but I mean, I'm pretty sure what he said is maybe correct, but grammatically it would have sounded better. They just can't get off the crack, or I have to get on it. Well, here's the thing, like, Link is subordinate to Zelda. Zelda is the royal princess of Hyrule, and Link is a subject of Hyrule. Either that or he's a knight. It kind of depends on the game or the idea behind him, which is fun. Which is funny because Legend of Zelda, as I mentioned, kind of has this Christian slash Celtic pagan influence about it, mixture, and it's got some Shinto and stuff like that. Maybe even like later in some of the games as well. But like pagans, as far as like the Celtic pagans, didn't really have knights as we know them. I don't think they would have used that term in that era. But the more English kingdoms would have used the term knight. I don't know. We'll say Baki. What's he saying? What are we talking about? So critical drinker is on that crack. I wouldn't know. I don't keep up with those guys. All right, going back, Link here. He's a hero that strives to restore the proper order of his world. That's why he has courage. Zelda is the embodiment and head of that proper order, wisdom. Zelda is the ideal. Zelda is embodying these old mythical archetypes of female wisdom. She is royalty. She is from a whole spectrum here. She's a goddess who helped make the world in this idea, and she upholds the world. That's why she's wisdom. Wisdom rules. She is the head. You could say maybe Link is like the hand or something like that, or the heart or something to that effect. He's the courage that it takes to keep that wisdom safe and to enforce it. She builds, he enforces. Now, and we can get into a whole thing here, and I'd like to. I'm going to go into like some of the mythical parts of that. This is a reason why their relationship is kind of poorly defined for the most part, as far as a romantic relationship. And I know I talked about that here a little bit. Yeah, again, Zelda's power is the wisdom to properly rule and structure the world. Link's is to protect and enforce her wisdom. She is the divine aid to his physical prowess. As you say, responding to this gentleman here, you made a good point. But he is also the physical aid to her divine prowess. Here, let's go through here, because this is a thing I wanted to talk about. The main way to mess it up, basically the main way to make Zelda a girl boss, so to say, is to make Zelda save herself, because that is Link's job. Link is the courage to keep wisdom where it should be and not let it be destroyed by power. And now there's this. I know I'm saying a lot because it all kind of came to me tonight. I was going to go to bed, but I decided to do this anyway. And this is, I think, kind of the Shinto part of it that's inspired. Technically, the powers of courage, wisdom, and power are neutral in the Legend of Zelda universe, and that's the quote unquote official idea. But the game and the story and the lore don't play that way for the most part. They kind of do because they keep Ganondorf there. But the whole point of like the story is you're doing something good. You're restoring good. You're not restoring neutrality. Now you could say maybe you're restoring balance, but that doesn't make for a story. You don't have a narrative where it's just about balance. Like, you'd have to answer, why is balance good? And now you have morality. So I don't buy the neutral thing as a great idea. I don't think anyone believes it. I don't even think the creators actually believe it either. So, and then here, keeping with this, the feminine, her goddess part, that of wisdom and royalty, is what makes her a wonderful ruler. The feminine part is what makes her susceptible to Ganon's power and why Link courage is needed. Her capacity to rule and guide is what defines her power. Link cannot rule, but he can protect. It's arguably one reason why an actual relationship with him is not a good idea. There's a reason Mary, from the Catholic tradition, or the Christian tradition as well, is a perpetual virgin. Well, that's definitely Catholic in Catholicism, and why Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, is also a virgin who never married. It's beyond me to properly articulate at the moment, but those patterns exist for a reason for the feminine wisdom archetype. Now, what that means, and it's what a lot of people who decry woke, and hey, believe me, I've got my massive criticisms with woke and left progressivism. I am not a leftist by any stretch of the imagination, but I am an artist, and I respect art. And if you want to do art, you have to understand basically feminine energy or feminine power. That is what brings things to creation. So this is what is interesting. A main reason why you have this disconnect between what mostly right wing people are talking about, or critics, or people who pander, quote unquote, to the right wing, sort of interneters trying to do, is they can't properly articulate what the problem is. They won't link to, quote unquote, lead, but that doesn't really make sense because they are not married. The moral system that these people are appealing to is a traditional, actually Christian morality of marriage, which is man is the head and woman is the body, technically, and they support each other, so and so. But man is a hierarchy above in that he, quote unquote, rules, but he also sacrifices himself more. And that comes from a biblical idea of Paul saying, husbands, love your wives and give yourself up, your life up to them as Christ gave himself up for the church. And wives, submit yourself to your husbands the way the church submits to Christ. Only one of them is called to give their life for the other, and that is the husband. Link and Zelda are not married. In fact, in a lot of the games, they're essentially what we would call children, and not, I would call them minors, maybe not children, especially for the world that they're in, which is an old world where people got married younger, died younger, et cetera, had more duties younger. But there's a reason that the idea of the girl boss, that system that people are trying to place on them does not make sense. Link and Zelda are not married. They are two individuals, and they have two very distinct roles. And they're more than human. They're more than man and woman. They're more than characters. In their world, they are something like embodiments or avatars of the gods, or at least the goddesses' wills, or the goddesses' energy. Zelda is wisdom. She rules. Link is courage. He protects wisdom. Trying to throw a worldview on them of our like a politicized idea of either a girl boss would destroy that, and a traditional sense also, which is what these people are leaning towards and trying to articulate, doesn't make sense either. These characters supersede those boundaries. They're almost like, and the game kind of leans towards this, they're like a perpetual cycle of keeping good in the world. In a sense, they really don't get to be a simple man and woman. They have to be more. And I forgot, I actually talked about it here somewhere, where their roles are what define the story. They are more than just that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Well, maybe I can't find it. And that's okay if I can't. Okay, well, the point is, what I was trying to say is, the game, the story of the game is about humans stepping into greater roles, whether they are already embodying them, in some cases they are, or they're being called to adventure, which in some cases they are, especially Link. And that's reflective of the difference between men and women also in our own world. Is, and a lot of manosphere people or other people kind of complain about it, but it is kind of true that women have a more inherent value to society than men, or at least that's how they see it, because women are beauty and grace, and they can reproduce, they can have children, whereas men usually have to be given something to do, have to be given a rite of passage, given a purpose. And usually that purpose is defending the good and the beautiful and that which can perpetuate your society. And that's what we're seeing here, is like most of the games, again, Link doesn't really have much of a purpose before the story starts. Zelda does. And again, if you don't understand, I don't even want to say mythological, like the religious myth, and we'll say mythological and historical view of men and women, which is exactly that. And that's the main thing that kind of bothers me about these culture warrior types, is if you kind of pressed them, like, and I don't like name dropping, but they're so big, I guess you can. Like, I don't have a problem with them personally, but let's say like Critical Drinker, that crowd, whatever you want to call them, that kind of just reacts to this stuff, Geeks and Gamers even, and I think this gentleman Paul Chaddo does. I don't really know him, but I think I've seen his name before. What is their moral system? What is their ideal story? And when you hear them talk, it's usually something like, "Oh, go back to when things were good in the 80s or 90s." Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. And especially the ones who are like, who kind of rant about woke, which I get it, woke sucks. But it's like, you don't think that stuff was in the 80s and 90s? Like, you're not, either they're not old enough to remember a lot of the media, or they weren't aware enough. This stuff has been on the march since World War II, if not before. Particularly leftist Marxism, which became woke, has been infiltrating media for a long time. And none of them can seem to articulate that, and they especially can't articulate why it's bad, why it's wrong. It's just that they don't like it. And so you want to pin them to a wall and be like, well, why is a girl boss bad? And it's like, okay, you might say there's something innate about it you don't like, or doesn't make sense, or you're tired of seeing it. And I guess those are valid, but there's something bigger than that. And what I've realized, and this isn't me trying to turn this into a trash session, is that you realize a lot of these guys who do this, they can't make stories. And I'm not trying to be mean, because there are legitimate critics who can't do something, but they can tell something how it should be done, if that makes sense. And I don't think these guys are that. I think like they can kind of get it, but you put them in a room and say create something, because they don't have, I would say, a mythological or religious worldview, or at least a metaphysical worldview. They can't make things. So I'm just kind of tired of hearing them talk about things. And at this point, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like using the term grifter, and I probably won't use it here, but it's like, at what point where, like, can you stop, especially something like this? Like, this is why I said this is like a pinnacle of the culture war idea. If you don't understand this mythological view of men and women, particularly as it pertains to like a Christo pagan view of goddesses and wisdom, I don't respect your opinion on The Legend of Zelda. And from then, I don't think I can respect your view on any story ever, because this is what stories are made of. The reason Ripley works in Aliens is because she's a mother. The other women in that franchise, at least for the movies that count, which I'd say is like 1 and 2, they die. And what's her name? The female Marine in Aliens 2. I don't know. It's Sanchez, something like that. Vasquez. She dies, and she dies like a man because she acts like a man. But that's the burden that she chose to bear as a Marine. You know what I mean? It's the mother lives, like Aliens 2. I saw someone on here call it like a pro woman movie. It's like, it's a pro mother movie, and it's actually a very strange pro mother movie, because it's about a battle of mothers, and it's about human mother versus xenomorph mother. Ripley like mass aborts the xenomorph's children, and then kills her. And she does that because the xenomorph mother threatened her daughter, quote unquote daughter. It is almost like a rival. It's almost like a rival primitive tribe story of two tribes. And what they are both centering is the mother. And what's really interesting is, if you really want to go deeper into it, you could even argue that the reason that the humans wins that exchange is because there are men, not drones, men fighting to protect the mother, as opposed to the mother using her children, which is the xenomorph thing. And the xenomorph also tries to protect her children, but she fails because that's not her role. It's the role of men. The xenomorphs are drones. They don't have this agency. They're not men. They might be male in some regard, but they're not men. This is a story of barely sentient monsters versus humans with a soul. And if you don't understand that, I can't take your opinion of these things seriously. And that's why their critique runs dry super quickly. And again, I didn't get on here to like rant and rave and be mad, but how can you take these people seriously? I mean, they're the entertainment equivalent of Destiny or Vosh or Hassan political commentary. Their understanding of reality of their topic is so shallow, and their understanding of humans is so shallow, and they can't replicate the things that they talk about. Like, if you want to understand stories like this, don't listen to like people like that. Go read classical stories. Go grab like, you know, the Morte Arthur, or I probably mispronounced that. Go grab Beowulf. Go read like C.S. Lewis or Tolkien. You can, if you read Tolkien, you'll understand more about story, people, and philosophy than if you read 99% of all the commentators on those three topics of people today. You want to like, Tolkien is a better philosopher than Nietzsche. And like, because you see in Sam Gamgee how you should live your life. And that's my thing is like, how can you, if you got some, and I think it's one reason a lot of these guys can't praise something, because critique is easy. And everything they hate about the left and the woke is built off of critique. That's what the woke does. It critiques because that's what Marxism does. It is, and I hate to say this, a toxic feminine idea. Imagine living with like a woman who just hates you and just tears you down. That's what Marxism is to society. And you can go to the other side of that and go, well, we're just going to complain and tear down things too. It's like, okay, when are you going to build? And that's the thing is like, if you don't understand this idea that, and I'm going to sound like some second or third wave feminist here, which is I abhor the idea of feminism because I think it hates men. But you have to understand women. You have to understand especially the feminine, and that's what Zelda is. Zelda is this idea of the feminine ideal for men and women, particularly in the role of, if you play as Link, he's pursuing her because she is the center of society. Society is built off of this idea of women and children, but particularly women in this respect. That doesn't say women run the world or they're the highest ideal. It just says, no, like this is the best ideal for man to preserve as a man to keep his society going. That means you have, and it sounds like I said, it sounds so cheesy because I'm saying a meme. You have to respect the feminine. I didn't say respect all women or listen to all women, but you have to understand what the feminine is and respect it. And if you don't get that, it's because like this dynamic between Zelda and Link, you don't understand the story and you don't understand reality. You don't understand humans. This is what chivalry kind of was. Chivalry was this idea of you take the brute force of man and you tame it for the good of society. You take violence and you point it outward, not inward at your community. And a way you do that is you idealize the masculine strength as best it can be suited for society, which is to slay dragons, for rescuing the ideal feminine, which is the damsel, the princess. If you don't, but you have to believe that that feminine idea, that female, that woman idea is worth battling dragons for. And if you want to make it, and this is in it, we know it doesn't work from a materialist standpoint because no one fights for a whore. If you reduce people away from this mythological view and you make it all transactional and you don't care and there's no morals, why shouldn't every woman be on OnlyFans? No one fights for an OnlyFans model. They give her money. They're stupid for doing that. No one goes to battle. No one gets up and goes to work every day to live for that. They just spend what money they have from not having a better ideal of a woman on that. And those women do that because they are not cherishing themselves and someone else is not cherishing them for what they should be, which is that ideal. So A woman in the idea of Zelda is not a girl boss for embodying feminine prowess, wisdom, beauty, and rulership. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate, they could make her an insufferable feminist jerk who tries to save herself and undermines Link, or and that would take a lot to do. Like I said, to really undermine the Legend of Zelda, you'd have to have Zelda save herself and Link not be needed. However, if she is wise, if she is decisive, if she is autonomous because she's not married to Link, it doesn't mean she's sleeping around like an OnlyFans whore or something. But if she is a fully like articulated person, that's not a girl boss. That's a feminine ideal. All right, I'll take a break because Baki has got some great comments here. Critical Drinker is on that. Man, I don't watch those guys. I know who Drinker is, and whenever he first started, I thought he was kind of funny. I enjoyed Mahler's breakdowns of the Star Wars sequel, but I can only watch so much of people pointing out plot holes or whatever. I want to see a Metroid movie, and though I barely know the series, I'd like to see it too, and I think it could all be done without Samus talking. I think that would be brilliant if it was like a 99% silent film. Reaper is a YouTuber that reviews movies and is a grifter. I'm not sure who that is. He goes by the real Reaper. You know, Drinker can't make a story. I don't know. I know that Drinker wrote a book or two, and they did well. I haven't read them, so I can't comment on them. But I just hope I'm making it clear. I didn't set out here to attack people, but enough is enough. Like, I will say I'm wrong if this turns out to be feminist trash. But what I'm not going to do is like sit idly by and just have people mud rake over and over and over this idea of everything's what, especially when it comes to something like this, where these people, like, what set me off is like this image isn't offensive. This image isn't woke. This looks like an image from the game. The only thing that I think someone could complain about in some degree, maybe, is the quiver here, the bow and arrow. But I don't know. Again, here's another thing. Athena was a hunter. Athena, the goddess of wisdom. And I'm 99% sure she used a bow and arrow. And I could be mixing her up with Artemis. Maybe Athena used like a sword. Probably a sword. But she was something to that degree. I know she was a ruler. And the whole point of it is, and she actually, what's funny is, like, you want to talk about like a quote unquote feminist or weird archetype. Athena like emerged from her father's head fully formed. Like, she didn't have an arc, so to speak, because she's wisdom. But that idea exists that, oh yeah, I am wrong. Athena carried a sword, Artemis carried a bow, whatever. But you could also, the thing is, this idea that because she is wielding a weapon and he's not, takes away from that. She's an ideal. And the feminist would have, at least the first wave, would have been like, oh, that's sexist. If you're not objectifying women, then you're putting them on a pedestal they can't reach. And it's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Human history has always put men and heroes on a pedestal, and they put the idealized feminine on a pedestal as well. And the reason for that is to give the people of your civilization a goal to reach for. Or I forget how he said it in Man of Steel. Jor-El was like, you will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive toward. Again, Snyder understood mythology, at least to some degree. Baki, yeah, the Superman 2025 movie has too much hate. I don't know, man. I couldn't make it 15 minutes through that film. I'm not gonna heap trash on the people who made it. I mean, I'll make fun of James Gunn. But I'm not gonna rip Corn Sweat. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think they had not a great script. I couldn't make 15 minutes of that movie. And maybe this is me being mean. I sound much meaner on Twitter than I do on YouTube. I'm sorry. I can't get, that's why it's so hard to take cultural critics seriously. They have a puddle's depth of understanding the things they discuss, the topics, and the ideas behind them. I stand by that. When I see something like this, I'm a huge Zelda fan. Link being subordinate to Zelda. Zelda's a princess. Like Link isn't. And this to me looks shot for shot like something out of a Zelda game. Again, except maybe the bow and arrow. Link is not, he's not passive, but again, he's pretty chill until until someone kidnaps Zelda. He's pretty all right, man. He's actually like a guy you could hang out with. Let me see if I can find the where it went off on their different roles. That's not it. That's me shilling my own book. Let me see. I'm not sure if I did it here. Well, this is a great thing I tried to link to too from another topic with this kind of the mother maiden at crone archetype is a great place to start with this, which is another female trinity idea from the Celtic tradition. Our modern world wants women to remain in their youthful era for clicks. It doesn't value elderly wisdom or motherly care. In fact, it perverts these ideas with the idiotic mommy eroticism. Well, yeah, and this is what you'll find with Zelda. She's youthful, she's also wise, and she's also magical. And the crone thing is kind of maybe a witch, maybe not, maybe it's just old and past its prime. It depends on like the myth that you go with. But Zelda is all of these things, and that is usually like the Celtic kind of female archetype. Zelda isn't a mother technically, but she is a ruler, and she is mother to her subjects to some degree. Like she has responsibility for these people, and she will gladly die for them. And I think if I could sum it up, I think, and it sounds like I said, it sounds so silly. It sounds like such a feminist argument. I don't mean it to, but it's true. It's like a lot of writers or a lot of people, a lot of commentators, a lot of critics don't understand women, and they don't, or at least don't understand the mythological woman. Where did I know I saw something here. I know I said something. I wish I could find it now. Or I wish I would have brought it up earlier. I know I talked about their roles. Watch it pull up some crap. This is me talking about the Superman movie, Bucky. I probably can't find it because Twitter search is kind of crappy. As if I could build a better one, right? Yeah, here we go. There's part of it. They are more than just people. They are movers and puppets of fate. Granted, it's possible they could step in and out of these roles, but the point of the story is they are pushed into these roles. Their grander roles are the story. That's what I was trying to articulate. Zelda and Link are man and woman, but their world relies on them being the archetype and idealized form of these. Particularly, and again, to stress it, because this is what the people decrying wokeness at every corner are missing. They are individuals. She has to be fully female, and he has to be fully male. Now, again, and all the archetype that comes with that. Now, again, the Christian tradition, the moral backbone of our society, would say marriage is where you become one person. When you get married, you become one flesh. And then you integrate those ideals together as one. And that's how you build a society. You have a society of strong, integrated people, which is the foundation, the family of society. And that's how you make children. It's almost this idea of you're taking two ideals, making them one, and then distilling that, or not even distilling, but embodying it into the next generation. Ideally, your culture would get more moral and stronger as it goes on. That's the idea, even though ours doesn't. But if you don't understand that since they're not married, why would she be, how is she being a girl boss? How is she undermining him? How is she above him? She is above him in some degree, in a proper way. She is royalty, and he is not. However, he is physically strong, and she is not. She is magically strong. She is wisdomly. She is wise, and he is not. He's not stupid. but they go together. They have another way to think of it is of her as the divine and him as the practical or the mundane. You know, her being like the air and the sea, and him being like fire and earth, if that makes sense to speak in that sense. They are forces, and they are in a dance with Ganondorf, of course, and they're going round and round and round. But it takes both of them to stop him. They have to work together. And courage can't supersede wisdom, and wisdom can't supersede courage. And I forgot who said. I don't know if it was Chesterton or Lewis that made the point that I think it was Lewis, that courage is the necessary virtue of all virtues, because without it you can't enforce the other virtues. It doesn't matter if you're wise if you don't have courage to speak that wisdom or implement that wisdom. And you can be courageous all day long. You can have the heart of a bulldog, but if you're not wise, you're going to be chasing cars. I'm just trying to say, I'm going to let this go soon. Unless someone wants to jump on here. Like Baki, feel free to come in. I'll send you a link if you want. But this idea is that these characters are more than characters. She's not unless they bring her down to a terrible level, she is going to embody a feminine nature that supersedes the average person. It would be impossible. And those are good qualities. Her leadership and her strength and her wisdom are what make her Zelda. She is a damsel in distress because power, evil power, has shrouded wisdom, has taken it and hidden it. And it takes courage to fight that evil to get wisdom back. And the reason you want wisdom back, the reason you want her girl bossness, her strength and her power, is because she is the only one that can rule properly. Well, I could talk about this for like 5 or 6 hours to properly articulate it. And again, I mentioned something as like there's a reason their relationship doesn't even work as a romantic one, because the archetype we have of female wisdom is virginal to some degree, at least the divine aspect of it, because like, of course, mothers and wives can be wise, and they have to be good wives and good mothers. But as an ideal is what I'm saying. Give me a second, Baki. I'll send you the link. I'll be up for a little bit while longer. I'd love to talk to you. I don't think we've ever talked in person before. Give me a second. All right, Baki. I'll send it to you on the Twitter. Gotta do this crappy new chat. Hold on. Elon, why you gotta be janking stuff up, dog? There you go, man. Baki, sent you a link, man. All right. Let's give him just a second to come on here. But to reiterate, I know I'm all over the place because these are big ideas, man. These are not things that you can take lightly and tread upon. What's up, Baki?
What's good?
Maybe you can tell me. I've just been ranting here for 45 minutes.
It seems like the Zelda thing goes over the simple classic tale of Andromeda, basically, of the Greek mythos.
Go into it, man.
Yeah, I think something about a beast holding it. I mean, there's also Pan's Labyrinth, basically, of course, with one of the chained up woman to a minotaur, and then I forgot, I think Pan or something, or
yeah.
No. Really? Is it Pan? Because I don't know. I thought it was some other guy.
No, that's not. I don't think that's Pan's Labyrinth. I think that's Minos. He was the king that built it.
So who went through that whole thing and slayed the Minotaur then?
It wasn't Perseus. Who was it? It was because Pan was a god.
Yeah, and somehow a secret.
Theseus.
Odysseus?
Theseus.
Oh, Theseus. Yeah, that's right. And I don't know.
it could have been. I mean, it could have been that they worship Pan. It could be a mistake. I don't know if Crete worshipped Pan.
I don't know. It's definitely not Troy, that's for sure.
No, he was apparently Greek. Pan's Labyrinth may
Um,
have just been. I don't know if Pan mythologically had a labyrinth. I know that the movie portrayed it that way, but Pan's also. I mean, like Pan's a god sometimes. Sometimes he's a troublesome spirit or a trickster. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like I would love to hear your analysis of that. You were going down.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to check out this Pan's Labyrinth movie as well, like and stuff to see what you're talking about. But yeah, it's something between Andromeda. I think AVGN went on about it basically and all that with like the New Year's episode with like Hong Kong '97 or something.
All right, that's a
Yeah,
lore drop. AVGN.
yeah. It was like this New Year's thing. He was suffering like going through a game of like Hong Kong '97 that explained that, or no, I think the New Year's episode was with like the N64 Legend of Zelda, I think.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
right. I'm looking it up right now. Oh
the
yeah,
AV,
yeah, yeah. Let me
yeah, the
pull it up.
AVGN episode of Hong Kong '97. Yeah,
I was talking about the Andromeda myth because I remember this. Yeah, daughter of Cepheus, the king of Ethiopia, not Ethiopia, and his wife Cassiopeia or Cassiope. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to speak Greek, but I remember reading this before. Yep, with the head of Medusa, Perseus petrifies Cetus. Well, that's the thing is like again, like even the I forgot who did it. It was a great YouTuber. He did a breakdown of the myth you're discussing, like the Minotaur myth, and how Theseus has to enter this labyrinth and he's pursuing the ideal feminine that is being guarded by kind of like this unchained masculine force that is also a perversion, which is
uh,
which is the Minotaur. And I'm like I said, I'm not trying to rant here, but you see what I'm saying? It's like you get very, or at least I do, get very tired of the surface level pseudo political, like drivel, basically commentary on things.
yep.
It's like, is this all we can do? Is just question if whether Zelda is going to be a feminist icon or not, or
I
can we
have
talk?
many, I have many doubts on that.
Yeah, well, it's just again, I don't think it takes much. Like I read a lot of mythology in high school, which was like 20 years ago, but that stuff does stay with you, and if you don't remember every aspect of it. But what do you do like when you've got a generation that isn't raised on any of that? And
Too much brain rot.
yeah, and like what do you do when they start making art?
Probably a bit of perversion and not very good taste. That's for sure.
Well, I agree, and it's like I think that's why you get something like Rings of Power instead of a proper representation of Lord of the Rings. And that's my thing is like okay, we've gotten what 400 videos on why the Rings of Power is bad, and none of them can really explain why it's bad. If that makes sense,
Yeah, it does.
it's like it's bad because it doesn't evoke these mythological and transcendent ideas properly. Not just because she frowns and kills orcs better than the guys. Like, well, why is it wrong that she kills orcs better than the guys? I think you need to articulate that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Baki, would I be correct in assuming that you're a Legend of Zelda fan?
No, I don't know. Like I try to get into the series. I don't know. Like this is the same thing with like Final Fantasy and all that. Like I don't hate them for games. I just never got too into it though. Like I said, I mostly just played like just fighting games and then other types of RPGs. Like I did get into Dragon's Crown if you like that.
I know that I didn't get into it, but I know the title. Yep.
Yeah, very good one. I mean, yeah, like I just do the most modern stuff of like even like Elden Ring. I still didn't finish that, especially with Shadow of the Erd Tree. The final boss is like ridiculous, along with Bile, basically.
Well, I didn't play like the Dark Souls games because like I had like kids and stuff, and I was married by the time that those got really big. But there's a reason that I've looked at the lore, read the mythology a lot, and there's a reason that works, and it's because it's based off older ideas that have stood the test of time.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, I didn't mean for this to turn into a rant about about right wing cultural critics because I've got nothing to say about left wing cultural critics because they're the default. You pick up any magazine, you're going to get left wing cultural critique. It's just my goodness how it's you're in the indie comic scene, Buck. It's like how often, I mean, how many times can people complain about mainstream comics?
I
Like,
don't know until it gets kind of boring until they get actually something good.
well, it's kind of like what Josh and I, my artists, people who don't know, we're talking about a lot of, and it's just indie comics are so boring. That's why people turn to other things to talk about as indie comic creators, is because there's not anything in it worth talking about in the stories, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I said, I should read more. Basically, not just some big ones like IDW of indies, and of course the regular mainstream big two.
I think so too. I know Rook Exodus was a thing. I know Seven to Eternity did really well. I got opinions on both of those, but that I'll save. But I don't know, man. Like this is something I don't know if you've seen the stuff I've been trying to do with my friend Addison Brodi and his friend JoJo. We have some more like esoteric talks on Thursday nights usually, but it's trying to articulate the demystification of the world and the remystification of the world, because I think that's what a lot of this is. I think when you let money and politics rule culture, that's when you lose your stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and this is the stream that's going to get me canceled from the right. It's like I think a problem, and I don't mean it in the leftist sense, but I mean it in the way we've let it enter our hearts. I think capitalism is a problem of that, not by its design. I don't think it's that by design, but we've accepted that that is our new morality, is just making money.
Pretty much, and not finding God.
Oh, I 100% agree. Josh and I are both professing Christians. I'm of the belief you can't basically, like, you can't do anything without an understanding of God. I mean, maybe even if you did it by accident, he's still there pulling the strings or at least influencing in some degree.
Yeah.
I think so, man. Um, I just think there's got to be an alternative here. I think the pattern I keep seeing. And thanks for letting me just spurg here. But I think the thing is that you've had bad culture creations, which were usually left wing dominated, and you've had right wing critiquing, which is what the Daily Wire was built off of, and the Blaze were built off of. But no one is really, I would say no one, but the incentive structure isn't there to create. And do you follow Isaac Young on Twitter?
Nah, I don't know. Like, I just follow whatever I like. I mean, I don't do too much on politics. I'll dive into some of it just for understanding, though.
Well, he's a young guy, and he's a like a Catholic creator. I mean, he's working his ass off. He's written like 4 books, and he's converting one to an audio drama right now. I think he said it's going to have 1,000 chapters by the time he's done with it. And but he's a really good person to look at as far as like buckling down and just making a giant thing. And he comments on culture and politics sometimes, but he has built his presence off of just making. And I think that's kind of I think that's more what the world needs, is less talking and more making.
True.
Well, I never got a chance to really talk to you before, Baki. Did you get your name from the manga series?
I don't know. Yeah, I just did like at least like the first part of the name of Baki, and then just use my little real name and just then I just put ISTS basically at the end of it though.
No, that's cool, man. I never got into Bucky, not because I didn't like it. It's just I never picked it up to read it or watch it. I've got a buddy who loves it, and he's like, man, he's like, it's like the best action and comedy series you'll read.
Yeah, hold on right there for a minute. Let me mute my mic for a minute, real quick.
Okay. Let me see if there's anything new to pull up here. Yeah, let me pull this up real quick. I can do that. Oh, what's up, dude?
Good.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
It is not bad though, like I say.
That's a thick book.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. You see Dopo anywhere? Or hold on. Yeah, but it's not bad. I'll say. Like, it's just going over. I think the earliest part where I think Baki, like, I think is starting to become a fighter, basically, and all that, basically. Yeah.
I need to check it out because I've heard
Not bad.
nothing but good things about it.
I'm also working on drawing my own characters too. Not the best, I'll say.
Here, let me put that up. Can I yeah, there we go. Well, dude, you draw way better than I do. Take my word for it.
I know, I just use pencil and all that too.
No, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get at least better and the best I can. Basically, I think I need better influence, maybe, and better motivation too.
What do you think about this here? This person said fundamentally misunderstands Zelda's storytelling, as Link's adventure is the main story, even if the cutscenes tell the story through others. Keeping Link mute lets him be the player's avatar and is accomplished by using Zelda for exposition. Oh, well, I didn't mean to be snarky, but like if it's not the Legend of Link, is it? It's the Legend of Zelda. And I would disagree. I don't think the game itself is the story. And I know that sounds weird, but that would mean that every person who plays it, that's the story, which means if you choose to beat up the chickens for 8 hours, that's the story. You know what I mean? The story and the lore is bigger than the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. It's
And
like going through a strip club in Grand Theft Auto. Basically, it's part of the story.
well, even more than like the main like line of what you're supposed to do, I think the story is. This sounds lame to say. The Legend of Zelda. It's the lore itself. It's the reason behind things. You're experiencing it as a game from Link's perspective, but I wouldn't say that's the story. I would say that's the game. And he said, I believe Miyamoto said he wanted, and I'm not pulling up someone here to like argue when they're not here. I want to talk about these ideas. I don't like arguing people. I like talking ideas. This person said, I believe Miyamoto said that he wanted to be named the Legend of, and he just liked the sound of Zelda more than Link. Link was called so because he was to be the player's link to the game. Zelda was picked out later as just a cool name. And again, I sound more snarky on Twitter than I mean to. I said, wild how a title can actually imbue meaning when it's acted upon, isn't it? But I think that's an important idea to discuss, man. I think that names and titles have meaning and they influence things. And I think when you name name it The Legend of Zelda, that may have been arbitrary at first, but that's what it becomes, if that makes sense.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think titles, meanings, and names carry weight, and what you do with them also creates them. If that makes sense as well. All that to say, man, if I had to, I didn't mean to turn this into a rant or wine fest. It's just I do think that there is a grander, as you mentioned, this idea of you need God. I think that there's a grander demystification to our world, and maybe it's materialism that has just reduced everything to politics and to the dissection and discussion of things, and that's why everything has to be a girl boss or has to be woke. It can't be explored as a greater mythos.
Pretty much, especially even in war.
I think so. Um, well, I think I've got a few more minutes, man. Uh, well, Baki, tell me about yourself a little bit, man. You said you're working on your art, your drawing. Have you got any stories that you're working on as well?
No, not yet. I'm just trying to figure out, trying to make the characters, and I should probably then make the world first before coming up with a good story, though, like I said, because I don't know, my writing does need a slight better, like a better work, basically, so I don't make it too similar to something like Mortal Kombat, even though Mortal Kombat, I think, does have still a good story, even if it's like a whole is mostly Asiatic in a Western viewpoint.
Yeah. Well, what do you? Are you looking forward to that new Mortal Kombat that's coming out?
Sure, why not? Because yeah, maybe like I'm just hope like I mean this is the same thing with the Street Fighter movie too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it might not be something of the best actors though, but all right.
Well, I think I enjoyed the first Mortal Kombat movie on HBO. It's not great, but the scenes with like Scorpion and Sub Zero were cool, and like that's enough for me. It's like it's Mortal Kombat, man. Like when I was a kid, I never thought we'd get movies of these things. Even though like when I was a kid, we got the first Street Fighter movie with Jean Claude Van Damme. It's like it's camp and it's trash, but it also has Raul Julia in it, who's awesome.
Yeah, I mean the 2021 one, I will say is a little bit mid to mediocre, only
Yeah.
because Cole Young does need better character development.
Yeah, he I don't think he was the best choice to replace Johnny Cage. Like that I don't think he was needed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a I think that was a misfire, and I kind of feel bad for the actor. Like he's not the worst actor, but he's not the best, and he also didn't get the best script. And I think you're right. I think he's kind of a plank of wood as a character.
yeah, too one dimensional.
Yeah, and I didn't really care for that he got to kill Goro. That seemed a little too much for a new guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, there, there's some missed. Like it's really weird to me because my favorite part of that film is where Scorpion and Sub Zero face off at the end, and it happens like right after Cole kills Goro in his backyard, like in his shed. It's
yeah. I
like,
mean, it's not something of the best thing, especially heck when I think Cole like slashed his arm off with some weird tonfa blade or something,
yeah,
basically, and all that.
and it's like, I mean, you took like this. Isn't Goro like a half old god or something like mythological creature, and you had him die in a guy's like backyard?
Yeah, a bit weird. I mean, I think my only problem is how they're like Mortal Kombat sees some of the outworld beings and stuff. Because I think they should put more depth into them and all that, especially like how Tarkatans are made, how
Mhm.
the Shokan are made, basically.
Yeah, there's a whole lore you could have done there, and I mean, I enjoy campy, I enjoy cheesy. It it has its limits though, and I don't know. I don't think the Arcana was a bad idea to try to explain the magical powers. It's a little weird that like, you can get a laser eye or metal arms out of nowhere out of magic. It's just a roll of the dice, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, guys, I'll let everybody go. Baki, thanks so much for coming on, man. I've never really gotten to talk with you before, I don't think, on stream, and I had a blast. I enjoyed it, and everybody, thanks for putting up with this spurge. You might get more of them if we get more of this same slop. Like, I don't even follow the guy, but like I saw him. Even like your boy Zach is kind of like tired of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree with him, even if he does seem a little bit toward the left-leaning example because he uses the word chud a lot, though. I mean, I kind of would, though, at least if there's like that one dude that's just like, just being just not the best kind of person, really.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird that politics invades everything because I'm an artist. Like I said, I kind of said in the rant, like I don't think you can make art if you don't have. You gotta have some chaos, and you gotta have order, and that's what skill and that's what discipline are. Like you can't just throw a banana at a wall. You know that's what we call art nowadays. But you have to have a touch of chaos, otherwise you don't have the fire to make something. Like that's what the primordial waters are, even in the Bible where it talks about, you know, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters of the deep and created things. That doesn't mean chaos is evil or satanic. It basically, I think, means potential, if I'm articulating that correctly.
True, yeah.
Yep. Well, thanks everybody, and again, thanks for coming on, Bucky. I appreciate it.
You're very much welcome.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come on, just hop in the chat. Just like request the link. I'll send it to you. All right.
Okay.
All right. See you guys. Good night.